Queen. Girl, you have done it again, constantly raising the bar for us all and doing it flawlessly. I'd say I'm surprised, but I know who you are. I've seen it up close and personal. Girl, you make me so proud, and I love you.
Ooh! Ah, the ghetto! The ghetto. The ghetto.
Hi guys, this is gonna be my first real YouTube video, other than the intro. So this video is just gonna be on Elite, one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm so ready to talk about it. There's gonna be spoilers. If you haven't watched it yet, I suggest go watching it. There's 3 seasons. I mean, we're in quarantine. What better do you have to do than watch the show? So yeah, I really hope you enjoy this video. I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on each of the seasons, then I'm gonna get into each character. There's only 3 seasons, and there's only like a handful of characters. I don't know. So let's get into it. So Elite Season 1 was probably my least favorite season, and also wasn't that good of a season. I really liked, how the introduction of all the characters, we needed an introduction season, of course. It's just that they're all so new, and at the time that it was like, I don't really like any of these characters. I can only think of 4 characters that I liked, and it was Omar, Ander, Nadia, and Christian. Other than that, there weren't any other, most of the characters were not good at that time. So I really like the whole murder aspect of the show. It's like who killed Marina, and it was like anyone could really be a suspect. So yeah, obviously it wasn't my favorite of the seasons, but it was definitely good. I also liked Polo in this season. I didn't like Polo. I like what they did with Polo, where they made him the murderer. He was very boring, and no one really expected him, you know what I mean? But I like how he was like, kind of like this creep, but then he was like actually a murderer. And he was like the least suspect to me, at least. He was the one I suspected the least. So yeah, I mean, other than Polo being polyamorous, there wasn't much to him. So I'm glad they gave him that. I think Season 2 is my favorite of the season. No, I think it's the best of the seasons, but it's not. My favorite is definitely Season 3. But I think Season 2 is the best, personally. I really like how Season 2, furthered some of the characters. This is the season where I started loving Lou, and she's my favorite character. And then it also introduced Rebecca, Cayetana, and Valerio, and I'll get into each one of those later. But I like Season 2 for what it did for the show. So Season 3 was my favorite season. It introduced Uri and Malik, and I really like Malik. I'll get into Uri later. The whole Polo being dead, I think it makes sense of them killing Polo, because him going to jail didn't seem like the true ending of the arc of Polo, you know what I mean? I feel like he had to die for his arc to make sense, and I feel like the killer had to be who the killer was. I do really like Season 3 for what it is. The ending to each one of the characters really got me. I really love it. One of the things about Season 2 and Season 3 is how in Season 1, and Ander and Omar was my favorite relationship, and it was very cliche, but it was like okay, like it was still cute. I really liked it. I don't know why. But then Season 2 and 3 just made me hate everything about them. Like, they were never happy. They always fought, and I was like, do they even love each other? Like, do they want to be together? Like, I questioned myself many times. Well, so let's get into Malik and Uri real quick. I really like Malik. His whole character arc with being gay and his father not knowing was really fun. I think he was a little rude, but you know what? I think it was Malik had to be there so Nadia could get what she wanted, and Omar could have a little bit of whatever, some love. And then Uri, I hate Uri. He was aware that Carla was basically being sold to him for his company, his money, and he didn't care. He redeemed himself later by, allowing for Carla to own the winery company. But then I was like, what? Is that really redeeming? She was being sold to you, you didn't even do anything about it. I don't know. Alright, let's get on to the characters. I'm going to start with Marina, even though she's not the main character. I just feel like she's the most important to the series. I think Marina's a bit of a brat. I think that she complained a lot. She was rich, and her father's a terrible person, her brother's a terrible person. I get why you complain, but it's you have all this money and you envy the poor people. I don't get that, because they're more free, but they deal with so much more than you. I don't know. I don't think her and Samuel should have ever been together. They didn't have very much chemistry to me. I think Nano and Marina should have been together since day one, especially because, she cheated on him later. Or cheated on Sammy with Nano. I get why she died. I didn't really get to form a bond with Marina because she was only in for one season. So after season 1, I was like, yeah, after she died, I was like, Marina's cool or whatever, but I don't really like her all that much. If I were to give her out of 10, I'd probably give her a 5 just because she's in the middle. I don't hate her, I don't like her. Yeah. So let's move on to her boyfriend, Sammy. I don't think Samuel and Marina should have ever dated. I don't think Samuel should have got with any of the girls he got. His whole thing with Rebecca led to him becoming a drug mule. And I was like, what? So many people warned Sammy not to not to do that. But he did it anyways because of Rebecca. And then, his thing with Carla, she was just so, she was very hateful to him. She was like, we can't be together. Well, he did use her, so I get why she did it, but I was like, why would they be together in the first place? It didn't make any sense to me at all. Right? She was smart enough to realize, right? She knew that he was probably just using her, right? I don't know. Obviously the show wouldn't be the same without him. So I'm not mad that he exists. I'm just I wish they would have done more or something better with him. I've never been the type to like a main character anyways. He was just really annoying. He complained a lot. Also, I don't get how any of the girls even liked him in the first place. Marina wanted a bad boy. Rebecca wanted a bad boy. It seemed like she wanted a bad boy. It seemed like that would be her type. But then, she ends up with Sammy, this little boy who is too scared to do anything. And then Carla always seemed like she wanted a rich boy, but then for some reason gets with Sammy. I don't know. Alright, let's move on to Nano, Sammy's brother. So I feel like Nano and Marina should have been together in the first place. I didn't ever get any chemistry from, I've said this, but I don't get chemistry from Marina and Sammy. That being said, I think Nano's a good person. No, he's not a bad character, but he's just not a good person. He gets pinned for Marina's death, which I feel really bad about because, he loved her and he, that was, she was, the baby mama. And he was like, oh, they were planning on running away together. And then, he gets pinned for the murder, and then he goes to jail, but then he gets bailed out by Polo, who's the actual murderer, who feels bad. And then, instead of just, going to the apartment, waiting to talk to Sammy, he decides to go to the school, not even go to the entrance, go to the side door where the classroom is, and cause drama. What? You knew Guzman was in that class. You knew that he didn't like you, and you're just gonna sit there and let him. And what? You're a drama starter. You started drama for no reason. You know, you could have just waited. I don't know. I don't like Nano. No, I do like Nano, but I don't like that he did that. We didn't get much of Nano after season 1 because, you know, in season 2 he leaves. That's the season where he went to the school. And then after season 2 he leaves for like most of it, and he's not in season 3 at all except for a simple voice message. So yeah, I didn't get a lot of time to form a bond with Nano either. But he's attractive, so I'm with it. Next is Christian. There's not much to say about Christian either because he was really only in season 1. He was in like 1 episode of season 2 and then not even mentioned in season 3 really. So I wish he was there, like, because Marina and Nano made sense not to be there, but it was like, did we have to get rid of Christian? Like, I know he was like a catalyst for like what Carla's dad could do to someone, but it was like, it felt empty without Christian. Like, it felt like he was supposed to be there. It felt like he was missing to me. He's one of my favorite characters. He always brought fun to season 1. He always brought fun and joy, and he was never like down. And that's why when he was depressed for that 1 episode in season 2, I was like, that's weird. Okay, on to Nadia. Nadia's one of my favorite characters of all time. She's my favorite of the scholarship students, and I'm not sorry about that. Her arc over the 3 seasons was one of the best to watch. I mean, she always started out as a likable character with a few flaws, but then she just kind of became like one of the greatest. So there's not much to say about Nadia. I mean, she didn't do anything really good or big to the show, but I love her and Guzman's relationship. I just wish that Guzman was nicer to Lou and didn't cheat on her. And her and Lou's friendship and the fact that they're like kind of sisters at the end was one of my all-time favorite things. I loved that scene where Lou was invited into the family. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, oof. Oh, my heartstrings. So Nadia was also probably the most closed-minded character. Weirdly, I don't know if that's weird or not, but she is the most closed-minded. There's so many examples of it too, you know. When Omar comes out, she's like the least supportive character to Omar. She's very weird, you know. She's very weird about him being gay. I was like, okay. And then whenever she finds out Marina has HIV, she's like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. You have a STD that's not even really affecting you that much because you're under medication that makes it undetectable. Like, why are you mad, Nadia? That doesn't affect you. It's not like you're gonna sleep with her. So another thing that Nadia did was she like kind of profiled Malik. You know, Malik went into the store not dressed in his normal rich attire. So he had his bag and it looked like he was stuffing it. And she comes over and is like, "What are you doing?" And it was like, "You just profiled this black man." I was like, "What?" And then she's very judgmental of the rich kids, which is fair because they're judgmental of her, kind of. But she's very lumps them all together, and I was like, you know, and they're not all bad. Like Anders not rich though. He's comfortable, but he's not rich, and that's probably why he's like more willing to hang out with the poor kids. She also kind of judges Valerio, but I think that's fair, seeing what Valerio and Lou are like. I'll get to that later. But I just want to, that ending with Lou being part of the family, and then that call with Guzman, very cheesy, but I was like, ooh, my heartstrings. I wish they would have ended up together, but you know, it makes sense that they're not, and you know, it had to be that way. And they're not like not together, like they know if they ever see each other again, they're gonna be together, but you know, as of right now, they're not together. Also, the Malik storyline kind of made me mad. It made me mad. I was like, don't do that to Nadia. She genuinely liked you, and you're gonna cheat on her with her brother, and then you're not even gonna love him. You're just gonna call it a hookup. And I was like, what? Anyways, that's with that. So let's talk about Nadia's boyfriend, Guzman. You're not really supposed to like Guzman. I mean, he's kind of sexist, racist, homophobic, Islamophobic. He's very brash and he wants to fight every guy that exists. He literally almost fought or threatened to fight every guy on this show. Or he did fight them. You know? And I was like, dude, do you have something better to do with your life? Like, let it go, man. I mean, some of it is fair, but it's like, come on. Anyways, he was also very self-centered. He kind of thought, I felt like he felt like the world revolved around him. I mean, he's a Catholic, white, straight male, and he was like big, buff, rich guy. And I was like, you know, the world does not revolve around you, dude. It really don't. He's just very aggressive to so many people, and the fact that he cheated on Lou did not deserve that. I mean, Guzman and Nadia are a better couple, but like, did he have to cheat on Lou? Sorry, I love Lou too much. But you know, it was all worth it in that scene with Guzman forgiving Polo when he's dying on the floor, and I'm like, ooh, my heartstrings. Ooh, you know, that was hard. And then, you know, with him and Ander officially becoming friends again, I was like, finally. So let's talk about Omar and Ander. I'm going to put them together because they're kind of like, you know, they are together. Them two are what got me to watch the show. Because I was on Instagram. I was on, like, the Netflix Instagram page, and then it was, like, it was a picture of Omar and Ander, and then I saw an Omar fan page on Instagram, and I was like, what's this about? And I was like, that man's cute. And so I was like, this was, season 1 had like only come out like a couple months ago at the time I watched it, I think. And so I watched it, and I was like, I'm very much with that. So Omar and Ander have a very cliche gay relationship where it's like, they're both in the closet, and they both have to hide who they are from their family. Also, Omar dressing up as Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show, iconic. Lou and Omar's friendship, iconic. Oh my god, I could get into a hole. And it was only one scene, because after that, they don't really talk much. But that one scene got me to, like, love Lou and Omar. I don't know. But after season 1, I love that Omar went through such a big change. He was like this little gay Muslim boy who was like, I'm gonna hide my body with these black sweatshirts. And he was like, nope, time to dress nice. And I was like, Stan. Their relationship after season 1, though, was like, it hurt me. So I was like, they seem so happy, but then you have Ander cheating on Omar with Polo, and then Ander pushing Omar away because he found out Polo was a murderer, and he didn't want to be close with Omar. And then in season 3, you have Ander finding out he has cancer, and then pushing Omar. Ander's kind of a jerk. And then you have Ander pushing Omar away because he has cancer and he doesn't want Omar to get hurt when he dies, but it's like, it's not guaranteed he's gonna die. He also pushes away his mom, and it's not till Rebecca, of all characters, talking to him that he actually, like, you know, becomes a better person. But then Omar cheats on Ander. It's not technically cheating because Ander kind of gives him the okay to do that. But it's not so Omar cheating with Malik, and then Ander's like, you seem so happy with him, and then Ander was like, fine. And then he goes with Malik, and then Malik was like, no, that was just a hookup to me. And I was like, what? He just left his boyfriend for someone who didn't even care about him? And then it seemed like Malik and Omar were going to be a thing for a minute, but then they never did. And then that scene where Omar ran to Ander, you know, from the airport, and I was like, ooh. And then he ends up at the school. You know, he goes to the school with Ander and Guzman and Rebecca and Sammy. I was like, wow, this is a Stan moment. And then, you know, Ander, that whole cheating with Polo, not only did he cheat with Polo while he was with Omar, but he did it in Guzman's bed when Guzman was asleep next to him and Polo. I was like, but like, you know, it sucks that Guzman stopped being friends with Ander and didn't start being friends with him until they found out that Ander was like, could maybe die. And I was like, what? Like, what? You know? So, yeah, I think that's the only thing I have to say about Ander and Omar. Let's go on to Lou. Lou is the most iconic character in this show. I love Lou more than I could possibly say. She is my favorite character of all time. She's my favorite character of all time. And I think her having killing Polo is the best decision. Because the entire time they were like, what? It doesn't make sense. The show was like, it doesn't make sense that Lou killed him. You know, it couldn't have been Lou. She has no motive. And then it ends up being her, just, you know, because she's sad that her friends were hurt. And I was like, ugh. Season 1, Lou was not a good character. I didn't really like her, but then as the seasons progressed, especially that ending with her and Nadia, I was like, Lou is my favorite character. I love Lou. You know, she had like nothing to do with Marina either. She was like the one that cared least about Marina of all the characters. And so I was like, so yeah, Lou, and then I will say it again, Lou becoming friends with Omar, iconic. That's iconic. So, on to Carla. Carla was kind of stuck up, and I didn't really like her in season 1. I feel like she was really boring. But as the season progressed, Carla became one of the most tragic characters, and also one of my favorites. Literally, that scene where Carla went to see dead Polo. Well, she didn't mean to, but where she saw dead Polo. That, I think, was one of the most heartbreaking scenes for me. Like, I can only name like 5 or 6 shows where I legitimately cried hard. And that was, and at least one of them, whenever Carla went to see Polo's body, I was like, because you almost forget that Carla and Polo dated, because it was so long ago. It was in season 1, and, you know, she left him for Christian, and then she was with Samuel on and off. It was like a weird thing through season 2 and 3. And then you almost forget, and then you remember that look she gives Polo, the memories flood back, and you remember things that you didn't even see. Like, you remember all their middle school relationships somehow. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I agree with you. When you do remember that stuff. I just love how she kind of like was like, you know what, I'm done doing this for you. I'm gonna tell everyone that you killed Marina. But then, you know, her dad, again, a terrible person. Her dad literally is the worst person in the whole show. He not only prostitutes her off to like Uri, but then he's just a terrible person to her. Like, he like scams her to not say anything about Polo, saying if you say anything, you're gonna destroy the business and blah blah blah. And it's so terrible. I hate Carla's dad. If you like Carla's dad, I just want to know what version of Elite you watch, because we didn't watch the same one. We did not watch the same one, obviously. Let's move on to Polo. I wrote a lot about Polo. I have a script if you guys didn't know, because I needed to write this out. If I had to give Polo like a number from 0 out of 100 or 0 out of 10, I'd give him 100. Because, I mean, at the beginning, you're like, you don't expect Polo to be the murderer, you know? It makes no sense. There's no reason for him to be involved. But then, you know, you get your reasons why, because, you know, he did it for Carla. And then, you know, you think he's just this creep that is in a polyamorous relationship that you know, just likes to watch people have sex. So you just think he's this guy, this creep, and then he murders Marina, and you're like, whoa. And then season 2, you're like, I really don't like Polo. You're like, I hate Polo. This was me, at least. I hated Polo through the beginning of season 2 because he was so cocky, and he was like, I can get away with anything. And then it tumbled in on him, and then the second half of season 2, I was like, oh, I feel kind of bad for him. And then I literally cried so hard when Polo died. I ran into my sister's room crying about Polo's death. I later made her watch the show, and she was not disappointed. That's why I suggest watching Elite if you have nothing better to do, because you will not be disappointed. It is one of the best Netflix shows.
We have nothing else to do.
It is one of the best Netflix shows. Am I happy that he killed Marina? No. But am I glad he did? Yeah, because he needed that character arc. The roller coaster of Polo is one of the best parts of this show. And then seeing every character's reaction to him dying was, The 3 hardest ones to watch were Carla, Guzman, and Kaye. I don't like Kaye, but seeing her feel bad for him, I was like, yeah, she really did genuinely love. Like, she only wanted him for his money, but like, she kind of did like him. Whenever Guzman was like, or whenever Polo was like, will you ever forgive me? And Guzman was like, no. He was like, never. And then Polo's dying, and he's like, I forgive you. And I was like, the tears. Another thing that I felt really bad about Polo is that every time he got into a polyamorous relationship, because he talked about this, it wasn't just for sex. He felt like he liked the polyamory. Like, he liked having multiple partners, and it wasn't just about the sex. It was about the connection. Like, with him, Carla, and Christian, and then with him and Kaye and Valerio. And then Carla and Christian left him for each other, and I was like, why y'all do that to him? When he's fragile. He's a little fragile boy. And then you have Kaye and Valerio. And Valerio was like, they were like, why do you want to be with us? Everyone hates us, which is true. Everyone did hate them. And he was like, you guys are the most interesting ones here. And I was like, no. Like, Lou, that is his sister, but like, Lou is the most interesting one here. So yeah, he gets with them, and then Kaye and Valerio use Polo for his money, and then they leave him whenever he catches on. And then they're like, well, we're mad at Polo because we got caught. And then, Polo was always not a bad person. He killed Marina to help someone else, and I feel like it was an accident. Because, I mean, he was conscious while he did it, but I feel like he didn't mean to kill her, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was an accident. I just feel like it was an accident. And then you have, when he tried to kill himself, that was hard. I was like, oh, I feel bad for Polo. I do feel bad for him. And then the polyamorous relationships that blew up in his face, I was like, yeah. I think, because there were only 2 deaths in this show. There's Marina's and Polo's was a lot harder because we didn't get enough time with Marina. And then the time we got with Polo was like, you really grew to love these. And then the characters all banded together to save Lou, who killed Polo, which, I feel like Polo, after Polo got stabbed, I feel like he didn't want Lou to get in trouble because he was like, yeah, I know why you did this. And so he jumped out the window to make it look like he killed himself. But then, it didn't work. So it was like, I feel like he tried to save them, and I think that was very noble of him, and that part really got me. When they all banded together to save each other from that heartbreak, they all touched the bottle, including Polo. I was like, I was very, I love how he made, like, every single character hate him all at once, and then cry for him in the same episode. I was like, wow. Wow. So I think that's the last of the season 1 characters. Yeah, on to season 2, starting with Valerio. So there's not much to say about Valerio. I feel like Valerio was only added to kind of replace Christian, but make him more interesting. Like, both him and Christian are party animals, except, Valerio does cocaine and also has a thing with his sister. Anyways, I like his character arc in season 3 where he kind of like matured. He became a more mature person, but he still had some flaws, you know, because he's a character. Also, he's the hottest one on the show. I don't care what you say. Actually, no, that's not true. Omar is the cutest, but Valerio's the hottest, and then Guzman's like number 2. Because I don't know. But I like his ending, you know, where he like kind of gets to run Carla's winery while she's out. But it's like that's only a temporary job, so like what's gonna happen after she comes back? Like what's in store for him? So next is Rebecca. Rebecca can be very annoying, and she kind of lets her crush of Samuel and Carla get in the way, like most of the time. Like, honestly, all the time. And then she's like, I don't want to end up like my mom, but then she ends up doing the exact same thing as her mom, you know, selling coke. And I was like... And then her mom ended up getting out of jail. And then she has that talk with her mom about how the father died, and then she's starting to become like the boss. I really like whenever she started to become friends with Andrew, though, and I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. They're kind of fun together. I think she's just a better as a party girl. Like, they tried to add so much to her character, and I'm like, it kind of flopped. Her relationship with Sammy was not good. At all. She literally made him a drug mule. I was like, I would never do that to my friends. I would never tell my friends to go become drug dealers or drug users. And then she started selling. Then when she started selling to Carla because she can make the most money, it was like, what? Like, why would you do that to her? Why would you ruin her life? Like, I don't know. I don't really like Carla. I mean, not Carla, Rebecca. So, yeah, she's kind of a hypocrite, short and long, but big, whatever. All in all, I don't really like her. She's all right. Not much to her. All right. On to Kaye. Here we go. Kaye is the worst character in this. There's not a single time where I felt bad for her except for whenever she saw Polo's body. I did feel a little bad. But I feel like she only started dating Polo for his money. And then she started to actually like him. And then instead of like, you know, just, you know, leaving him, or no, she only used him for his money. And then she finally was like, you know, I'm poor, you know, and then everyone caught her and they hated her because she lied. And it's funny because Kaye burned all her bridges. She burned the bridges with all the poor people because, you know, they, you know, because she hated them for being poor. But then she lied to all the rich people and they didn't want to be friends with her, so it's like she had no friends left. So I was like, oops, sorry, bad for you, you know. And then after Valerio, Kaye, and Polo started dating, Polo finally caught on that they were only using him for his money, and so they left him and were like, well, if you're not going to pay us anymore, we're just going to go off together. And I was like, okay, bye. Like, you can do so much better than you two. Every character got a happy ending, kind of. Polo died, but most of the other characters got a happy ending except for Kaye, who became a janitor at the school. She was like, I need to use what little resources I have, so she became a janitor at the school, and I was like, that's what you deserve. And so I laughed when I saw her like that. I was like, you know what I mean? So other than that, she lied about so much. So did Ander. Ander lied about a lot, but at least it was like, not, like, she lied about everything. And then she was like, I'm going to defend Polo, a murderer who I barely know, and this victim who I barely know. And I was like, he's literally a murderer and you're just gonna defend him. Whatever, girl. Go off. So yeah, that's all of the characters. So I guess let's wrap this up. Elite is one of I may have talked a lot of trash about it, but I really do genuinely love Elite, and I'm so ready for season 4. But I don't know if I am, because it's not gonna follow any of the original cast. I don't know. I'll be with it. I'm definitely gonna stick with it. So yeah, I love this show. I really suggest you go watch it if you have nothing else to do. So that was my ranking of the characters in my seasons. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tomorrow I'm gonna be not tomorrow, but my next video is gonna be a Poppy video. So if you're into Poppy, tune in. I'm gonna basically be talking about her evolution as an artist, and then I'm gonna be ranking her albums because they're all pretty much masterpieces except for like 2 maybe. Anyways, I love Poppy. I'm ready to talk about her. I'm hyped for that video. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Tune in for the next one. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And my Instagram and Twitter handle is going to be in the outro. Bye, guys. See you next time.